one does it better, I'll admit it. Car key under pressure, I'll admit it. Oops, I changed the weather, I'll admit it. Baby, egg roll, rolling up the payroll. Really by my gouda a lot. Big butt hump, shot for shot.
So I just started recording the beginning of this video without even pressing the record button, so that's embarrassing. What's up, YouTube? It's WTGamer, soon to be IgnorantzYT, and welcome to Black People Anonymously Answer 7 Burning Questions. Anyways, I can't tell if you guys know, but I do happen to be a black man. Sounds weird to say, I'm only 20. But yeah, I thought we would just react to this video and I would give my input where I think my input, And let's just jump in the video. Oh, if I didn't say before, yeah, this is Jubilee. Jubilee made this video. Jubilee usually makes decent videos. I wouldn't be inclined to say that I hate them. Usually get some good discussion out of them. So yeah, y'all play the video.
In an age of call-outs, culture wars, and perfect facades, people can be afraid to express how they really feel. So we brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and asked them all 7 burning audience questions. What will be revealed when we take the mask off?
I can't tell if it's mask off because of Future or if that's just the name of the show. I wonder what you're trying to imply there, Jubilee.
If your answer is yes, you'll turn your light on. F the police.
Well, now that they've answered that, me personally, I've never had an experience with the police that wasn't justified. I have had, I want to say, odd. Like, I've had one of those, like, I can't tell if this person is racist or not experiences, but I wouldn't then demonize an entire group of people just pretty much doing their job. I just don't agree. Not everybody is, like, bad. I do acknowledge that people of African American descent don't have the best relationship with the police. So then again, most of your life will be anecdotal experience, so whatever you feel is what you feel. Nobody's right or wrong on this.
I know that there are quote-unquote good cops, but if you are working in an entire force with individuals who are essentially mostly racist, and where police come from, the history of it with being the sheriffs of slaves and tracking down slaves using dogs or whatever they're using, it's just wearing that badge. It's just, you're never really here for us, and we never feel safe for that reason. So, f them.
The only reason why I can't fully say that, like he just said, there are some good out there, and personally having a cousin who is a police officer, but everything else behind that and all of the.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with Terrence. I was just about to bring up the fact that if you think that they're not here for you, what then would you say about black officers? But I'm pretty sure, well, I won't assume, yes I will. I would assume that people who believe like black cops, I'm pretty sure I've heard it somewhere that it's kind of like the whole, oh, you're gonna be even more racist to like kind of like fit in with them, which I just feel is kind of like awful mindset to have. It doesn't really make too much sense.
Other people who bring the racist and pretty much mentality to it, yeah, no, it's them for sure.
All right, we're gonna have everyone join the conversation.
I don't really feel anything towards this statement because I haven't had any encounters with police, like, ever.
Why do you have to have a personal experience? Why can't you just look at the damage that has been done?
It's different because I feel like I feel the weight of my ancestors in certain situations in other areas of my life than I do with the police.
Okay, this is not me taking away from the black community in general, because police are always targeting us, but I find it interesting that only the black men had agreed with that.
Yeah. I'm like on the fence with it because I know that there are Black cops out there that are truly trying to protect and serve, and I really don't know what I would do if we completely destroyed the police system. I would be scared because it's like, okay, well, I don't believe that is the solution, but yes, Black men have that main encounter with the police, and sometimes it's annoying because it's like, okay, is this the only cause that y'all care about, is police brutality? But yeah, it's halfway with me.
All right, so for that, I would say, I feel like that's kind of with everything, right? If you've had a bad experience with something, you'd be more inclined to not like that thing. That's just how I feel about it. Like let's say you always like have a bad experience with a certain type of food, you're just gonna assume that the food is bad. I know there's an extreme difference between racism and food, but that's the best analogy I can come up with for now.
Are Asians racist towards you?
I have a neighbor who is very privileged. She's married to a white man, she's Asian, and I feel like that comes a lot nowadays in America. I feel like
I hate that. I hate that term so much. Privilege. It just bothers me. Everybody has privileges and everything. So whenever I feel most of the time when people bring up the term privilege, it's just to assume that inherently you have some sort of advantage over them just because of your skin color, which I believe in and of itself is racist and just is not true. It doesn't work like that.
Asian women are trying to be the white woman of America, and they're not realizing that they're also in marginalized communities just as we are.
Especially Asians that are born into American culture. It seems like they're just pretty much white and they don't have any empathy for other minorities.
I have had negative interactions with like Asian people or like other people because I'm Black and because colorism is a thing. But I've also had like positive interactions, so I feel like, yeah, Asian, it's just a very generalized term.
I know.
There you go. I would say, you know, I've grown up around Asians. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Now I live in Hawaii. It really is just as simple as you're either racist or you're not. Like, everybody has a little bit of racism in them, but if somebody's going to be racist towards you, it's not because of their inherent race. It's going to be due to the fact that they just grew up racist. They have some reason to be racist. The same, whatever reason you don't like the cops is probably the same kind of mindset as to why Asians or any other kind of race wouldn't like you. I know Black people that don't like Black people. Uncle Ruckus, he's not real, but people like Uncle Ruckus. Like just because you're a race doesn't mean inherently you're gonna dislike another race. It's a mindset thing.
I know it happens, of course, but me personally, I have not experienced racism from the Asian community. I do totally agree with the idea of colorism because it does seem like the darker you are, the quote uglier you are in any ethnicity, which does suck.
I think the American influence is big, and that's on anybody that comes, no matter where you come from, what background. When you get to America, you spend a couple years here, you start to see how things are done, whether they're right or wrong. You see how things are done, how Black people are treated, how white people are treated. So a little bit after I left the military, I spent a couple years in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and South Korea. These places were places where I was accepted more so than back home. It was shocking to me to not be followed around in stores in South Korea. It was shocking to me to not be treated or even looked at the same way I would be walking down the street in certain places here.
I have dated outside my...
Granted, I'm probably not as intimidating as a lot of the Black dudes on here, so I might not ever experience the same kind of quote-unquote racism that they've experienced due to the fact that I'm not necessarily that intimidating as a Black person, so.
my race.
In my past dating history, I feel like, I tasted the rainbow pretty much. Like, I dated East Asian men, I've dated Hispanic men. It's different. You know, like you're never gonna find somebody outside of your race that's gonna 100% understand you, understand your struggle, understand your family, why you do things the way that you do. When I'm dating them, I know it's gonna be different, and I feel that's kind of like why I'm entertaining the fact of even doing that.
I would disagree strongly with, to be fair, nobody will ever 100% be able to relate to anybody. Just because one person is black and another person isn't, doesn't mean that they wouldn't be able to understand why you're doing what you're doing, have empathy for you, or sympathy for you. So, just on this one panel alone, everybody here is black. Not everybody agrees on exactly everything. Not everybody agrees on everything that each other agrees with, and that's fine. But I've always hated the premise that the reason you have to date inside your race is because you have to understand my struggle. Yeah, it's just dumb. You date for love, and that's what you should date for. You date for a partner.
I don't think that I would necessarily date a white person. I just feel like there's a disconnect. But as long as like they're willing to like, you know, have those conversations with me and understand like my blackness, I want to have those conversations with them, and I don't mind what their race is.
I think for me, it's just all about my comfort level with you and how much I can relate. And like he said, I think a white woman would be like at the bottom of the totem pole just because we don't have that much to connect on, but I'm not opposed to it. I would just kind of rather work with something that I know there's a lot of compatibility there.
I'm not opposed to dating outside my race, but in terms of marriage, I would love to marry a black man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think about our ancestors. Like, they're probably turning in our grave. Like, they're like, what are you doing? Like, we've done so much, and you want to be with this white person or this non-black person?
I've never dated outside of my race, but maybe I should, because a lot of black men tend to go to non-black women.
They can control them.
Yes.
I thought this was supposed to be anonymous. What happened to the mask?
And because
they're easier.
And because they have European features, softer hair.
Exotic.
They like the Kim Kardashian looking woman.
Exotic.
You know, you want the black woman aesthetic, but you need the European features. So maybe I should date outside of my race, but I personally, like you said, I want to build with the black man.
Also, this whole people want a Kim Kardashian type thing, I feel like that's such an old head mindset. Everybody I ever meet, right? Here goes my anecdotal evidence. I don't really see too many people saying that they find Kim Kardashian to be attractive. Like, how many plastic bottle jokes have you heard about the Kardashians? Nobody likes them because they're shaped black and look white. I think in general they're usually just made fun of.
And I want to have black children. That's what I want to do, but with this generation of black men, I don't know if it's possible.
Me having sex with a white man, it's the master aspect. It's the buck breaking history. If you know what buck breaking is, it's all of that combined, and then the idea of most times, even in heterosexual relationships.
I think that's just an odd mindset to have. What?
It's usually a fetish for the individual to be with you. It's either because you have a nice body, or your skin is so dark and lovely, or because you have, you know, that tool that they want, if you know what I'm talking about. So
wouldn't you then argue that the whole reason for attractiveness is because somebody has something that you find appealing on them, regardless of the reason? Unless they're blatantly just there to objectify you, then that's just them as a person, not them being like, oh my god, look at this freaking goddess. Like, what is this, Reddit, bro? Stop.
Yeah, in general, it's always something on your body that they want, and if it's genuinely true love, that can happen. But for the most part, I just think interracial dating is disgusting.
I feel like that mindset in and of itself is just racist. It is racist, and it's harmful to believe that the only reason somebody is dating you is because they see your features and only like you for those features. I feel like that says more about you as a person. I feel like you need more substance.
I've felt oppressed by my own community.
I don't relate to this. I would say I've been made fun of more in my own community than I have others, but that's just people being people. I don't take it personally.
I actually sometimes feel very uncomfortable in spaces full of Black people. If you're not desirable as a Black woman, if you're not desirable to men, then you tend to get overlooked. I have to work my ass off for things that I want. Black men, cis hetero Black men specifically, they oppress all of us. And it sucks because I want to be with a Black man, but it's like, I have to try to appeal to my oppressor.
I'm gay, and I'm also Black. So within the Black community, I feel like, again, when we go out to these protests, when we go out to these clubs or parties, and I'm in heterosexual spaces, I feel like, oh, yeah, he's Black, but like he's gay, so we can't really mess with him. Like he can't really be.
I will say Black people's relationship with gay people is kind of, not kind of, it's pretty like interesting. I don't think I've ever met a Black person that wasn't like freaking out over like a gay person. But then again, every like Black friend group usually has the gay dude. So
Be in our space, and it's like, how is this your space that you claimed over a sexuality and a sexual preference, essentially, rather than us being the same race?
Yeah, of course. Like you were saying, like if you're in the LGBTQ community, it's intersectionality. So people are more cool with me if I'm passing and they see me as like a cis Black guy versus if they know I'm trans.
In terms of my experience, I feel like maybe Black people were gatekeeping opportunities or like trying to be super stingy or trying to be the token Black person and not really, they kind of like bully other Black people to making them be like, you don't deserve to be in my space. Like this is my zone. This is the area that I'm working in. And it's kind of like they're trying to keep other Black people from being successful. Like I feel like I've seen that a lot. And I feel like that's happened to me before too.
When I was living in Mississippi, I was around predominantly Black people. I didn't feel any different. But now that I'm back here in California and I'm around, other races, like, well, I can see why this could be considered colorist, or I can see how in this situation, maybe I'm feeling, like I'm not as worthy as these other people. But I just couldn't use the word oppressed really to describe how my experiences have went.
Have you ever wished you weren't Black?
This is one I will never, ever, ever get, right? I've always like just been fine with myself. I'm pretty sure I'd probably feel different if I didn't like the way I look. Of course I'd feel different if I didn't like the way I look. But I've never got wanting to be a different race simply because you believe that race is cooler. Or like the whole superhero argument. Oh, we need Black superheroes because I've always wanted to be Superman, but Superman's not Black. You could be Superman. You don't gotta be Black to be Superman. You don't gotta be white to be Superman. You just see aspects of a character and you use that to lift yourself up. You want to be like Superman. You should never want to be somebody else.
Like, I want to say, record straight, I love myself now. Like, I love being a Black woman. But like for so long, because of also family members feeding into the whole idea of like, oh, you're so pretty because you're lighter. For so long as a child, I associated being Black as being something that was a bad thing because I saw how people that were darker than me were treated. And I was just like, oh, I don't want to be this anymore. But I mean, with a lot of love and compassion and hardcore teaching, I was like, being Black is honestly the best thing ever.
We lit. I just feel like we're lit, and I get where that comes from. That's a part of colorism, and that happens a lot in our community. And I just feel like if we all just accepted our Blackness more, we would just be great.
Like when I was younger, I moved to like a town that was like predominantly like white and Hispanic. I never felt like specifically like, oh, I wish I wasn't Black, but I did like look at other people and say, I wish I had hair like them. I wish I looked more like them.
Like I love being the race that I am, but having 4C hair and having darker knuckles, darker kneecaps, especially in elementary school and middle school. Getting through that was really hard.
Why she went straight to the knuckles and kneecaps? God dang.
Now at this age, I'm learning to accept all parts of me, but I still battle with it like every day.
There were times where I maybe wish that I wasn't Black American, that maybe I wish I was an African woman or Brazilian, because I feel like Black Americans, like we kind of were disconnected from our African roots and our heritage. And that part kind of hurts because it's like we don't really have much to call our own besides like Ebonics or AAVE. But Black American culture has ultimately set the tone for a lot of modern day pop culture too, so I'm proud of that part as well.
I would raise my kids differently than my parents raised me.
Yes and no, and I feel like everybody should say yes and no. I feel like if you have kids, you're gonna raise them with aspects of your parents while also influencing aspects of yourself. Because not everybody is you, everybody's different. It just makes sense.
I can't be honest about who I am.
Being Black, like if I'm in a white space, I'm like constantly like, how am I coming off? But a lot of times for me, it's like, you know, in terms of being trans also, like how am I walking, how am I talking, how am I being received? Do these people, are they speaking at me or looking at me like they're comfortable with me? And it's just pretty tiring sometimes when I'm around other people and I'm constantly checking myself.
Since we're in the age of like cancel culture, it's just really easy. I feel like even if you want to be honest, it's like sometimes you can because you have like a fear of getting canceled or a fear of people like lashing out on you. And I feel like in certain senses like that, I can't be completely honest in terms of like my views on certain things just because of like how people are going to react.
It takes a lot for a person to be themselves and fully own their identity, no matter who you are or what you are. So living in that, I've learned to own that, and I'm always blunt, I'm always me. What you see is what you get. If you got a problem, you can leave. So, yeah.
It's exhausting to try to defend yourself all the time about who you are, but at the end of the day, I sleep better at night knowing that I'm just me.
Right, me personally, I don't care. If you're confident who you are, be confident who you are. I don't feel like these last two questions were specific when it comes to Black people. Everybody should behave differently in different settings. That's just how that works. It would be ignorant and stupid of you to believe different. I'm gonna be cutting out a lot of this stuff because I feel like a lot of it's fluff. This video, I have about nearly 30 minutes of recording. So let me know if you disagreed with me in the comments. Honestly, I'm fine to disagree. This is all off the top. It's an initial reaction. If you want to know further what I believe, or if you want me to elaborate on certain things, I definitely can. Yeah, a lot of these, while yes they are Black questions, I don't really like the way some other people answered these questions. All in all, I think this video was kind of a it was alright kind of thing, you know? Yeah, so I'm saying a lot, Jesus. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you disliked the video, leave a dislike. All in all, it doesn't really matter to me because all I care about is your opinions. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Check out some of my other videos. There's going to be even more videos coming out later, more and more, and you know, you want to make sure you're here for all that, right? Right, guys? Right? Peace.